Another story that I told with the Young Americans, this one, someone shot it for me in Germany and then they sent the footage back to me to edit. We'll talk more about that after, but here's Brennan's story.
My dad, he's Air Force, he's a colonel in the Air Force, and Uncle Sam wanted to come over here and take up a liaison job with the Germans. The longest I've ever stayed somewhere was 4 years.
When I first saw him, he was so into everything.
The way that he interacts with everyone is just so casual and so friendly.
It's a skill that as a military child you sort of have to have, because you move somewhere, you're always gonna be a new kid. So you have to be able to, read the audience, how you're gonna talk to them, connect with people.
In the beginning of the workshop, he stood up because he was into it, but he was still kind of in his friends base. He would always be with the two same people all the time.
I used to be really shy about my music. I was never let anyone hear. I have songs in my room that no one knows about. So my uncle died. It was 2009, and he was really into music. I used to stay at his house. My parents would, have to go to work or they had to travel somewhere, and I'd always be there with him. And he always just told me, Brennan, if you're gonna do something, I want you to do it with music.
On the second day of this 3-day workshop, we show the closer of Act 2, The Lion King, to all the kids.
Colin came up to me, he was like, hey, just follow me very closely when we get back from lunch. And I looked at him, I was like, okay, Lion King? Okay, and then he started singing. I was like, yes, this is great. I love it.
When we did the showing of Lion King, you could tell his eyes were so fixated. He was all about the idea of awakening the rebirth.
As my generation is, basically we're all coming together for this one purpose. That's to better ourselves and to better our parents when they get older and we have to take care of them. My uncle, he didn't have the support that he should have had when he died, and I want to be able to make sure my parents have that.
He made that number completely his own.
It really let him be himself. He put his shoulders back, he started dancing, he started going full out.
Me, I didn't know what I was going to do, and I know a lot of other people in there were very confused as to how they're going to do, what they're going to do after high school. Really, Young Americans just gave me a set mindset of what I want to do.
By the end of the workshop, I saw him in the front, I saw him with new people, I saw him shaking hands with some people he didn't know, working with the little elementary kids.
Seeing you guys, the Young Americans, get so into it and so just the energy you guys had just helped me reinforce my idea of that, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to be out here teaching kids music, teaching them to love music. Yeah.
Interesting side note, that video was also completely filmed by a single person, this time a volunteer that I trained who had no previous experience. And they filmed it with the Vixia camera that I recommended and a $30 microphone. It ends up sounding and looking really good, right? You also notice this video, it doesn't really cover what the workshop is. I made a number of videos for this organization, and while some of them were meant to tell all about the organization, this one, it's a supporting video. It's where the viewer's already familiar with the organization. It's not a standalone. So in this one, in the beginning, we meet Brennan and 2 of the instructors. I recommend to my video volunteers they try to get 2 to 3 interviews. For us, it's usually 1 with the person that they're featuring, of course, and 2 with the teachers. They help fill in any gaps in the story that Brennan may leave. They also usually have a bird's eye view of the whole workshop and where Brennan fits into it. It also makes the editing easier when you can cut to the different people. We meet Brennan and we see that he's a great kid, and we start to like him. You'll notice a pattern there. That's how these stories work. Introduce the character, get us interested in them, often by showing something that makes us like them. In this case, he's just a charming kid, and it's also what the teachers say about him that get us interested in him. So we meet him, but we can see he's insecure, especially about his music, and he's sad about his uncle. In the middle, he takes the workshop, and by the end, he's overcoming those insecurities, he's doing the performance, and he starts coming to terms with his uncle. That's not structurally different from anything that's in Dean's story. A kid has challenges, they take the workshop, and they're changed by it. They both just went to a music workshop and they both got so much more out of it. So let's take it back to the beginning and let's look at the definition of story again, but now we'll tweak it just a bit to show how it can work for a nonprofit to tell their story. Really, it's just a before and after story. In the beginning, we meet the character, we see their situation, we feel for them. In the middle, we see the challenges and the obstacles. And that's where we start introducing your organization into their life. So we can get to the end and we can see how your organization helped. The happy ending, the solution to their problem, is you. Everyone your organization has touched has a story. They all have a before and after with your organization. What we're going to look at in these next chapters now is how do you present that? How do you get that story out of them? And what can you do to help shape that story to make it something that your audience wants to see and then wants to learn more about you? But first, let's take a look at one more video, one that is more about the organization than any individual story. And we'll talk about how we use story structure to make that one work.